Contents of this meeting is being sent to a third party.
You're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Harvest Church. This is our midweek service, our Revealed Truth session, where we receive God's revelational insights about how to prosper in our bodies, souls, and spirits. Thank you for joining us once again. We are happy to have you. This session, we're going to be talking about you, your nutrition, and your future. With me on the call this evening, we have our speaker, Opeyemi Adeboye, which I'll be introducing very shortly. But please feel free, relax, and sit back and enjoy every insight that God will bring in your way through our speaker. We're delighted to have you, and we hope you enjoy every bit of this session. Before we do a deep dive into it, permit me to introduce our speaker. Her name is Opeyemi Adeboye, a registered nutritionist, and I'll read her profile very quickly. Opeyemi is a seasoned professional of over 15 years of experience. She has a MSc in human nutrition, a BSc in microbiology, and a PhD in human resource management. She began her career as a consultant with KPMG in Nigeria. Transitioning seamlessly into the food industry, she excelled in roles overseeing operations and spearheading new product development for a B2C company, which spans across more than 10 major states in the nation of Nigeria. As a dedicated nutritionist, Opeyemi actively collaborates with fellow healthcare professionals on diverse health promotion initiatives, with a particular focus on impacting invaluable nutrition education. Our areas of specialization include weight management, infant and child nutrition, facilitating lifestyle adjustments to promote overall well-being. Opeyemi currently provides nutrition support to individuals with disabilities and mental health issues in the United Kingdom. And she also works as a freelance nutritionist. So why not Opeyemi? In case you are wondering, please sit back and enjoy as we welcome our speaker and major host for today, Opeyemi Adeboye. Thank you, Opeyemi.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to have the opportunity to talk to God's people today. And I'd like to thank Pastor Bayo and the church administration for this opportunity. I do not take it for granted. Thank you so much for having me. You're welcome, everyone, to tonight's Revealed Truth. And I believe, God, that you would go home today with valuable, not just information, but practical tips that would help in your health journey. So let's just share a word of prayer as we begin. Father, we just say thank you for today, and we thank you for another opportunity to learn, to share. And we are grateful for the day that we've had. We thank you for seeing us through today, and we are grateful for this time. Lord, we ask in the name of Jesus that the information we will receive will be not just useful for us, but would help us and shape a better future, better outcomes for us and for our generations yet to come. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. All right. We'll just dive right into it. So the topic tonight, again, is you, your nutrition, and your future. And I'll just be running along. So if you have questions, please, you can put your questions in the chat section, and we'll pick it up from there. Or if you're online, you're watching us from YouTube, you can also put in your questions in the comment section, and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so just to give us an overview of what we'll be talking about tonight, we'll be talking about what food is, the types, facts about food, the importance of a healthy diet, and the current diet that we have, the 21st century diet. What's up with this diet? Why should we make changes? How did we get here? What's hiding in your food? Maintaining a healthy diet, and we'll be sharing some practical tips, and then there'll be time for questions at the end of it. So what is food? It seems like a very simple question to ask, but it's very fundamental. What is food? Food, like we know, someone will say it's what we eat, to put it in a very simple way. But food is more than what we eat. Food is more because it's important on different levels. So food is anything that provides nutrition for either an individual or an animal, even a plant. So from the different classes of organisms that we have, every organism needs food because food provides fuel. That is, it provides you with what you need for energy. So as an individual, the activities we engage in, running, playing, even breathing, we need energy. So even if you're not doing anything, you're just sitting down, your body is using energy because there are different systems that are at work in your body that require energy. Your digestive system, your nervous system, your reproductive system, respiration. We need energy to carry out all these activities. So the first basic reason why we eat is because we need energy. And then number two, we need food also because our body requires nutrients to function. So these nutrients are responsible for growth, for repair. And these are very, very crucial and important because a body that is unable to repair will be diseased. So it's very crucial that we eat. So our body is able to interact with us on not just a cellular level, but also on a genetic level, because the food we eat is what we use to repair our bodies, and we use for all these functions. The third thing, and very important, reason why we need food is for to repair our bodies. I mentioned that, but I want to go back to it again because it's very important. Our bodies need to repair because God created us in such a way that the body is able to repair itself. So what that means is, without doing anything, if you are ill, the body will do everything within its power, in quotes, to keep you healthy, to keep you alive. So when we have a cut, for example, something as little as a cut, the body will mobilize white blood cells to that area to ensure that there is healing. So if we translate that into other serious issues, like before maybe something like type 2 diabetes becomes full-blown, the body would have been trying in different ways to compensate and repair. So the body continues to do that until it's not able to do that anymore, and then the body falls into a diseased state. Having said that, food is also important on different other levels. So food is important on a cultural level. It's important on a religious level. So people attach importance to food because it's tied to their identity. It's tied to something they hold dear, maybe a religious thing, or maybe something that has to do with where they come from. So it becomes difficult to do away with certain things because it's tied to who we are. And then food is also is related to how we connect, how we have fun. It's connected to good times, good memories for us. So it's a huge part of our lives. I'll jump quickly into different types of foods, and I chose this to drive the point home because it helps to see food in a different way. We all know that there are different classes of food. We know about the carbohydrates, the proteins, the vitamins, minerals. We know about all those components of food. We know also that we need those things in certain quantities. But what some of us don't realize is that there are only two types of food: the living food and the dead ones. So what do I mean by living foods? Living foods are foods that are consumed fresh and raw. They come in the natural state that God made them. And God designed food to provide nutrition and health and life to us. So any food in its natural state, in its vibrant state, in a state where it has not been modified, reconstituted, is a living food. So for example, you have food items like fruits and vegetables. We have potatoes, yam. All those food items are living food items because they still have the enzymes and antioxidants and the nutrients in them. So they are able to nourish our bodies. On the other hand, the dead food items are food items that have been either chemically modified, that have been processed, that have been in one form or the other reconstituted and refined. So we find these food items in man-made foods, like baked foods, like all those food items that we love to eat, chocolates and all these things. These food items are usually calorie dense, but usually deficient in nutrients. So they are not able to provide the body with the nutrients that the body needs to properly function and repair. I'll just run through some facts to drive the point home. So in 2022, 1 in 8 people in the world were living with obesity. Worldwide, adult obesity has more than doubled since 1990, and adolescent obesity has quadrupled. 2.5 billion adults were overweight, that's 43%, and 890 million of these were obese. That's huge. That's huge. 65% of the world's population live in countries where overweight and obesity kill more than being underweight. 37 million children under the age of 5 were obese in 2022, and greater than 390 million of these were overweight, 160 million living with obesity. Almost every physical problem, apart from accidents, has a diet-related cause. So we see here that there's something huge. There's a huge connection that is undeniable between our diet and the quality of our lives, whether we live a life that's free from negative health outcomes and diseases or not. People who are overweight have a higher risk of getting type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers. And 74% of deaths are caused by obesity-related chronic illnesses and non-communicable diseases. So it just translates, what we are just trying to say is good food equals good health, and good health equals a good life. So it takes us back to the topic that we chose today: you, your nutrition, and your future. What it's simply telling us is that if we choose to eat healthy, we can have a good life. We can have that future that God wants us to have. The Bible says that I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So we know for a fact that God wants a wonderful, happy future for us. However, how we eat, the choice of foods that we make every day can impact on that future negatively. But we do not want that, which is why we're having this this evening. So what's up with this 21st century diet? The problem with our 21st century diet is that it's highly processed, high in sugar, high in fats, high in chemicals, food additives and preservatives, high in calories, and low in nutrients. Our bodies need more than what we currently expose ourselves to function properly. That's why we find that the rate of incommunicable diseases, i.e. type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, are on the increase because we are not eating as we should. And it's time we told ourselves the truth about our diet and begin to make the adjustments. I know it's not something that can happen at once, but having the knowledge helps us to know the areas where we need to make these changes. So this just talks about what dead foods are. Basically, dead foods would have a long shelf life. Why would the dead foods have a long shelf life? Dead foods will have a long shelf life because they need to be kept on the shelf. Imagine going to the store and having a bunch of maybe bananas, and then you look at, on the other hand, you have some maybe donuts, for example. To keep that donut on the shelf for longer, the manufacturers usually will add some other items to it so that it stays on the shelf for longer. So they can maximize the time they have to sell it. However, a banana, you cannot keep a banana for longer than its lifespan, in quotes, after it's been cut from the tree, because it's a living item. It will gradually deteriorate and spoil because it's a living food. Dead foods do not act the same way. If you leave some biscuits, if you leave them in your shelf, they will be there for months. as long as they've not gone by their best before date, you can take them for, sometimes they are produced a year before, 2 years before, and they are still good to eat because they are man-made food items. Also, dead food items are acid forming. What does this mean for us? Mucus forming. What does it mean for us? It means that when we consume these food items, it impacts on the pH of our bodies. What is pH? What is this talking about? Certain food items will either make your body acidic or make your body alkaline. But the ideal environment where your body functions best is an alkaline environment. And these alkaline foods are mostly found in fruits and vegetables and living foods as well. That's not to say that some other living foods are not acid forming. However, the ones that are that push our bodies to the extreme are these ones that are man-made. Dead foods also have no living material. All life has been extracted from them. I'll give a quick example and we get to talk about it later. If we look at our flour, the flour we use for white flour that we use in our baked goods, it didn't start out that way. White flour is made from wheat. Wheat is a living food. But what we've done is we've removed the beneficial parts of the product of this living item, and we are left with flour that has been bleached and stripped of most of its nutrients. And that's what we use to make our breads, make our cakes, make most of the things that we term as interesting or maybe go-to snacks for today. So it's important that we pay attention to these things so that we can move far away from these communicable diseases and these negative outcomes that we do not want in our lives. All right. So our food matters. That's the bottom line. Our food matters, and for us to be able to live healthy, we need to pay attention to what we are eating. Ignorance at this level cannot it's not an excuse. We need to know. When we go out shopping, when we go out to buy food items, how do we make the decisions? How do we choose between this and that? Do we just go to the store and make the choices based on what is available to us or what we think is right, or based on what we want? Or should we pay a bit more attention and look a bit more closely at what we are eating? And we should actually. So let's find out what's hiding in our food. The 21st century diet, we've talked about it. We said it's high in sugar, it's high in calories. It doesn't have as many nutrients as we need. But there are some items that are of importance that we need to pay attention to in our food items. And the first mention is sugar. We find that in today's world, sugar is in almost everything we eat. And it's amazing the kind of names that manufacturers call sugar. So basically, they hide sugar in, because people already know that sugar is not good for them, right? So if they just say sugar, people just go, oh, there's a lot of sugar in that. But they've devised different names for the same item. So in one food product, you might have variants or different names that sugar is called in at least 4-6 different ways. So you look at a product and you see sugar, and then you see inverted corn syrup, and then you see molasses, and then you see honey. In the same product, they've called sugar different names. What they are basically telling you is that there's a lot of sugar in this, but they've said it in different ways, and then you don't understand, and you just look at it and you say, oh, okay, they just said sugar, so it's not supposed to be that much, but it is that much in the product because they've used it in different other names for it in the same product. And sugar has very interesting, I use the word interesting implications on our health. First of all, sugar impacts our immune system. It's been evidenced that sugar is able to reduce the activity or the ability of our white blood cells to function. It is able to reduce it by about 50% for a few hours. So why do we spend our income, our hard-earned money on what is not food? We find that in, I think, Isaiah 55, where God was asking the Israelites, why do you spend money on what is not food? And why do you spend your labor on what is not bread? Why do we buy these items? Why do we feel the need to buy these items? It's because sugar is addictive. So the reason why most food manufacturers will put a lot of sugar in food items is because they want you to keep coming back. They know that sugar is addictive. They know that once we have these items, we want to keep coming back for it. Another impact that sugar has is on our children. When we give items that are laden with sugar to children, it increases the risk for ADHD, and then they begin to have behavioral issues and behavioral problems. You find a lot of sugar in items like cereals, like snacks, like even things like ketchup. If you look at the ingredients in your ketchup, you'll see that there's some sugar there, and you'll wonder why would there be sugar in ketchup? And then items like crisps, chocolates, name it, cakes, lots and lots, the things that we term the good stuff, right? And some people feel like because they are children, it's okay for them to have sugar. Well, it's not okay for them to have sugar because sugar impacts on their health greatly. We see a rise in the incidence of children with type 2 diabetes now, a lot more than we did before. We see a rise in the incidence of obesity, even in children younger than 5. So we need to pay attention to how we are feeding our children and what we are giving them. Sugar also predisposes us to osteoporosis. It impacts on our bone health. It makes it difficult for the body to function the way it's supposed to. It disrupts our hormones, makes a mess of our entire system. So I'd like us to please pay attention to this one item because it's we find it in a lot of food items, a whole lot of food items. When we get to the end towards the end of this, I'll show us some products and food items, and we'll see how manufacturers, put this in their labeling, and we'll be able to note it when we go for shopping the next time. So the next item that I would like to talk about is MSG. MSG is monosodium glutamate, and we find it in the seasonings we use to cook. It's usually called different names. Some call it Maggi, some call it, you find it in loads of seasonings. I don't want to mention names now, but you find MSG in most of the seasonings we use. It's widely used in, I dare say, globally. There's no country in the world where MSG is not used, and you find that people who eat fast food or who eat out a lot will be exposed to MSG a lot. So why is this important? It's important that we pay attention to this because this particular item has been implicated in increasing the risk of fibroids in women. It damages the hypothalamus that is responsible for managing or for controlling our diet. So basically what happens is that when you take MSG regularly, you crave food. So you find that after eating, like a few hours later, you find out that you're hungry. So it takes me back to when we talked about sugar being addictive. The reason why you will find this particular item being used in a lot of products, or why manufacturers use it a lot, is because it keeps people coming back. They want you coming back because that helps their bottom line. Okay, so it's also important that we keep our children away from this item because it affects their health as well. It's been implicated in incidences of heart palpitations, shortness of breath, a host of other things that MSG has been implicated in, and we want to stay away from this as much as possible. And then someone might want to ask me the question that, okay, so how do we cook? I haven't used MSG in more than 6 years, and I can tell you that my cooking has not suffered in any way. You do not need MSG in your cooking. It is a flavor enhancer. Yes, there are reasons why people would like to use it because they think it makes their food taste really nice. yes, it does, but we have to look at the negative or the negative impact it has on our health. It's been implicated in toxicity. Somebody help me with that word. Toxicity. Yeah, that's the word. So it's toxic to our body in different levels. It makes our liver work extra hard. It pushes our body to the extreme. So you don't want all these items in your food. Basically, that's what we are saying. Take this out of your diet, and you'll be grateful for it. And I want to say this also to women. If there's anyone that you know, or maybe as a person, you either have a history of fibroids, or you know someone who does, this is one item to take out of your diet. And it's one item to take out of your diet really, really fast, because the evidence is there. I know that when we go online and we find a lot of information, people trying to say, no, it's not true. They are only demonizing the food item. The government agency in charge of maybe food and health says it's safe. The honest truth is that the food industry, and I say this carefully, the food industry will not tell us the honest truth about these food items, because it helps them promote their products. It is our duty to look after our health and the health of our family members. So it is our duty to get the right information and find the knowledge that we need that helps us to keep healthy. So please, if this is in your kitchen, I know it might take a while, but if this is in your kitchen, please begin to make plans to win yourself and your family off this completely, because it's really not good for you. Okay. There are other harmful food items that also impact our health. We find that our foods have different colorings, especially foods that we give to our children, drinks, cereals, chocolates, snacks, a lot of food coloring in there. You'll find in a label, sometimes you see red 2, green. So they have these numbers attached to the colors. So these are food additives and food colorings that have been added to these food items, and there's proof that it impacts the health of our children negatively. There's proof that it impacts their behavior. There's proof also that there's a way it affects their cognitive development. So please, for those of us who like to give our children drinks, who like to give them sweets and all these kind of things, please, let's pay a bit of an attention to it, so we know the right ones to give them. There are alternatives. I'm not saying that we shouldn't give them these things, but there are alternatives where we can, and I know that we can. Please pay attention when we go out there to buy drinks or buy sweets or any of those things. Please, let's just take a look at the ingredients and find out exactly what we are eating and what we are giving them. And I also want to mention, when it comes to drinks, that the maximum that they should have, the best drink for them is water. But if they will have even fresh fruit juices at all, it shouldn't be more than 100 ml a day that they are supposed to have. So please, if we are in the habit of giving them drinks, please, let's cut down on it, because even drinks that are fresh fruit juice are high in sugar. We want them to eat nutritious things. We don't want them to get most of their calories from just sugar, which doesn't have any nutrients at all in it. We want them to eat food items that are good in protein, good in dietary fiber, and all that to help them in their growth and development. So there are other things that I could mention here, but one that I would mention quickly is aspartame. Aspartame, you find it in a lot of drinks, and aspartame has been implicated in cancer. So it's a known carcinogen. You find that in a lot of our drinks, and it's very bad for our health. So we can please pay attention to that. I'll just run through it now so that we can get to the practical side. The good and bad fats as well. So one of the items that has been demonized is fats. People just say things like, oh, don't eat that, it has fat. But there are good fats and there are bad fats. We find good fats in food items like oily fish, avocados, nuts, and olive oil. So bad fats are those that you find in, of course, baked foods, margarines, crisps, and other baked food items. So you want to move away from these ones and move over to the ones that are healthy and good for your health. Someone might want to ask me, okay, so how about the oils we use in cooking? How do we make the choice in which ones to use? On that, I would say that when it comes to fats, because fats are high in calories, we only need them in moderate to low quantities. So what you want to do is you want to use oils that are cold pressed and that are not chemically extracted, if you can get that. So good oils to use would be oils like sunflower oil is good when used moderately and when not heated to very high temperature. So the most important thing to note here when it comes to the use of oils is the cooking method. The cooking method becomes very, very important because some oils have a smoke point. When you heat them above their smoke points, they become bad for your health because they are changed. Their chemical nature becomes altered, and it becomes bad for your health because it increases the rate of inflammation in the body. So I'm just going to run quickly. Someone might want to ask me, what should we do? Okay, so we've talked about all these things that we should not eat. So what should we do? We do things differently. We make changes. We seek alternatives. We try to understand the world that we are in today and how food companies, how they pass information across to us. So food companies pass information across to us by through the nutrition facts. So when you pick a food item and you want to decide whether should I buy this or should I not, the best place to look is behind the product. Look at the nutrition facts and look at the ingredients. I'll just quickly talk about nutrition facts because it's very helpful. So the first thing you would see when you look at nutrition facts is you see the serving size, and sometimes they will write 7 per container. So sometimes you might look at a food product and it says, for example, this one says 250 calories, and you might think that the entire pack contains 250 calories. No, they've told you that there are maybe, for example, 2 servings per container, and each serving that is 250 calories. So the information you see behind every product is related to the serving of the product. So if, for example, you want to buy biscuits and the nutrition fact says that a serving size is 2 biscuits, and it says it's 250 calories. What it means is that for every 2 biscuits that you eat, you've consumed 250 calories. So let's say you decide to eat, say, 6 biscuits. What that means is that you've consumed 750 calories. So that's how it adds up. So you want to pay attention to the cholesterol in the item. You want to pay attention to how much salt is in the product. You want to pay attention to the sugars in the product. And I'll just quickly explain why we have total carbohydrates here and sugars here. So total carbohydrates that we see here is how much carbohydrate the product contains, and the sugars you see here is the added sugar. That means that the extra sugar that the manufacturer has added in the production of that food item. You want that number to be as low as possible. You want also that product to be showing you that it has good fiber. You want that product to be showing also that there's good protein in the food item. So this becomes very, very important when we make decisions, or we choose between, okay, should I buy this food item or should I buy that food item? And going to ingredients as well, it's important that we look at the first few ingredients on the list. So if you have sugar showing in one form or the other in like the top 6, you should know that it's a high sugar item. So if you look at this one, I'm showing this example I'm showing us here, we see sugar, modified cornstarch, high fructose corn syrup. Those 3 items are talking about the same thing. Those 3 items are talking about sugar. If we compare it to the one right beside it, you say that the ingredient list on the left is longer than the one on the right. And the one on the right, you can see that it has cultured pasteurized milk, pectin, contains live active cultures, and that's it. It's short. It's you have items you can relate to. So when you begin to have items that you cannot pronounce in a food item, just drop it. When you begin to have chemical names that you cannot pronounce, just put down the item, because you know it's not good for you. Look out for ingredients that you can pronounce. Look out for ingredients that you can relate to, things that you would probably find in your kitchen. I'll talk about this app because it's very useful, because sometimes we don't have the patience to read what's behind, or sometimes we might even forget what we are supposed to be looking out for. This app has been very, very useful for people who are beginners at making choices between one item or the other. So this app helps you to know what your food contains, not just your food, but also cosmetics as well. So I like it because it's food and cosmetics in one place. So if you download this app, for example, and by the way, this is not a paid ad for this app. I have just found it very useful. And I'll just show us quickly how this can help us. I'll just show us an example. Quickly how this app can be helpful to us. So for example, you go to the food store and you want to buy an item, you just scan the item, and then it gives you information about the product. If we look at what I'm showing us here, we can see that it has rated this biscuit as 24/100, and it's showing red, meaning it's not good for us. If you look at the first negative item, it says it has additives, but it says that this additive is limited risk. If you click on there, you see what the item is, and you can read about it and its impact on your health. It also shows you that it's too fatty, it's too high in saturates, it's too calorie dense, a bit too sweet, too much salt, and all that. Let me show you one that is good. So if you look at this Greek yogurt, it's showing as 60/100, no additives, good protein, low on calories, low in sugar, low in salt. If we come here and we look at this ketchup, for example, it tells you that it has a lot of sugar, too much salt, but it tells you also the good. And then it also gives you recommendations. If you look down here, it recommends alternatives for you. It tells you the ones that are better than the product that you have there. So this is a very good to have, not just for food items, but also cosmetics as well. Let me give you an example of a cosmetic I scanned with this. So this is just a body spray. It shows you that it doesn't contain any hazardous chemicals, and it shows you the ones that are low risk. And for those that are not that don't score really high, it can give you alternatives. So this is a really good to have app that can be very useful when we go out shopping. All right, so some of the other changes that we need to make is around exercising. And I know that a lot of us are aware about this, but the problem is the willingness to start. So I'll just say start small. Start with what you can manage. okay? Because exercise has a lot of health benefits. You can't, it's a balance between a good diet and exercise is what gives us the benefits that we are looking for. So in today's world where everything is all we are always on the go, it becomes very important to manage stress. And one of the ways that we can do this is through exercise, because we also know for a fact that when we are stressed, we tend to eat more, and we tend to eat more of the bad stuff. So one way to combat this is through exercise. And someone might want to ask, okay, so what kind of exercise should I do? Start with the one that you can manage. If it's taking 10-minute walks every day that you can commit to start with that. If you can get an app that helps you, do that as well. Because as we grow older, it becomes very important for our bone health that we exercise, because it keeps us in shape. It prevents arthritis. Our bone density is kept in good shape, and we are also able to do all the things that we've always loved to do. Imagine you being able to still get up and go at 60, without the use of a cane. You don't need aid to walk. That is the kind of future that God wants for you. So it's important that we add exercise to it. Some people believe that, because I'm eating healthy, then I don't need to exercise. But that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. You do need, even for people who are eating healthy, you do need to exercise, because your body needs that activity to keep your muscles, to keep your bones. You need that activity, and you need it on a regular basis. Okay, another thing is shop local. This helps because you are able to get fresh food items. You are able to get items in their prime. So you're not getting items that have been that have endured a long journey to get to you and lost most of their nutrients through exposure to high temperatures or unhealthy packaging and transportation in different through different means. We won't believe sometimes where our foods come from. The strawberries we eat, the avocados we love, all those food items sometimes travel a long distance before they get to us, and it impacts on the nutrients, the nutritional content of the food item. So if you can, please shop local. If there's a local farmers market near you, buy things from there, so you can get things fresh, and you can make you can maximize the nutritional quality of what you are eating. Fasting and detox also helps. So the periods where you give your body time, you give your digestive system time to rest, also helps a lot, because then your body has the opportunity to focus on healing. When we eat all the time, our digestive system is always running. So periods of fasting helps our body to focus on healing and repair. That's why we find that the way God designed it, we have a period of about 10 to 12 hours that the body is not eating anything. So between your last meal of the day and breakfast, your body has time to slow down and focus on repair. And that leads me to the importance of sleep as well. I'll just quickly chip that in here. It's important that we have good quality sleep, because when we do not, it impacts our health negatively as well. It becomes difficult to focus. It becomes difficult for your body to repair, and it becomes also difficult for your hormones to be balanced when you don't have good quality sleep. So added to fasting and detox, add good quality sleep as well. It's beneficial for your health. So in summary, know what foods to eat heartily, know what foods to eat moderately, know what foods to avoid, learn the manufacturer's writing style, know the kind of ways that manufacturers sneak these unhealthy items or report it, because according to law, they must report every item in the food. So learn how they hide these things in your food items. Listen to your body. Know when your body says, oh, this food item doesn't agree with me. sometimes we find out that when we eat food, some certain food items, we find out that we gas a lot, or we find that we are bloated. All those kind of that's how your body is telling you that food items does not agree with you. So learn to listen to your body. And then living foods will always be healthier than processed and dead foods. A principle that will never ever run out of date, because the science of nutrition is evolving. I often find that people complain that, oh, so we should not eat this today. Tomorrow you come, you say, okay, we should eat it, and then the next day you say, no, don't eat it at all. One thing that you will never hear from anyone is that fruits and vegetables are bad for you. That it's standard that living foods will always be healthier than processed or dead food. So if you find yourself at a point where you do not know which way to go, always go in the direction of living foods. And then the last thing I would say is 20-minute rule. The 20-minute rule says that it takes your brain at least 20 minutes to recognize the fact that you are full. So how does this impact your health? It means that when you eat a bit more, eat a bit slowly. Don't eat so fast, and then wait a little bit. When you think that you are not full, you want a second helping, just hold on a little bit, and then you'll find out that, oh, I was actually full, I didn't know it. And it's because it takes a while for your brain to register that you're full. So observe the 20-minute rule when you're eating, and you'll be fine. So I'll end this in the words of the father of medicine that said, let food be your medicine, and let medicine be your food. You will never go wrong when you do that. Thank you so much. At this point, I would like to take questions. Anyone who has questions, anything at all, if it's something about health and nutrition, something I touched on, you want more clarification, or something that I didn't touch on but you would like to ask. Thank you.
Wow, that was very, very insightful. I mean, I was supposed to stop her like 5 minutes ago. I just couldn't. I just could not. Thank you so much, Opeyemi. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. That was so insightful for me, honestly. I had to write notes, and I just need to go back to those notes. Please feel free to drop your questions on the chat in case you can't unmute. We'd love to entertain questions from the audience. Anyone, please share your questions. Please share your questions. You learned so much, but I know we have questions as well. Please feel free to drop your questions on the chat or mute your mic to ask your questions. Question time. We have our registered nutritionist in the house. Question time.
Someone is asking, can you recommend a substitute for Maggi? Oh yeah, so just use plain salt, okay? The way I do it is I use a lot of spices when I cook. So use a lot of onions, you use a lot of garlic, you use your oregano, your thyme, your curry, coriander. All the spices are very good for you, and just use regular sea salt. I don't even use iodized regular table salt. I use sea salt because it has more health benefits. So good salt is all right, is all you need, and trust me, you will not miss it. And the funny thing about it is once your taste buds get used to not eating MSG, the moment you eat MSG, it's as if something happens to you. It goes straight into your brain. I don't know how to explain it, but that's my own experience. When I eat foods that contain MSG now, it's as if there's a sharp reaction that I have to it. I'm like, there's something wrong with this food item. So you really don't need MSG. You don't need Maggi. You don't need all that. Just ensure that when you're cooking, for those of us who like to cook our Nigerian delicacies, ensure that your either your chicken stock or your meat stock is well seasoned, and then you use that to cook your soups, your jollof rice, whatever it is you're cooking, and just use a bit of sea salt, and that's it.
Thank you, Opeyemi. Thank you so much. How do you recommend we do this? How easy is it for you to just win yourself off this MSG? How do you, I mean,
The best thing to do is to do it fast and quick.
right.
There's no other way around it. Some people try to do it gradually, but when you think about the implications on your health, you don't want to gamble with your health at all. So the best way to do it is, if you can trust me on this, just go into your kitchen, carry that pack of Maggi and throw it in the bin. And the next time you cook your stew, just use your spices and your sea salt, and come back and tell me if it doesn't taste good.
Right. Thank you so much. So we have two people asking that same question. I believe it's a very valid question for all women in the house right now. Abiola said, I downloaded the app. That should be Yuka, right?
Yeah.
ASAP. Okay. Then another question is around locust beans.
No,
Am
I think she was just saying
okay,
that
the
it's also a good
replacement
way
for absolutely.
to cook without MSG.
Right. Thank you so much. Any other person that would like to ask a question, please, you can drop in the chat room. So you can unmute your mic to ask. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, I have a couple of questions here as well. Let me just ask quickly. It says, what advice do you have for parents on how to stop their children from sugary foods?
Okay, so the first thing is provide alternatives. And if it depends on the age of the kids, if they are able to, if they are over 5, you can begin to explain to them why, and then give them alternatives. So the best way to go about even for adults is to give them alternatives. So for example, instead of giving them store-bought juice, you could make orange juice at home. Or instead of giving them a full glass, you can give them 1/4 of a glass. If it's a really, really young child, maybe just a little, and then you dilute it with water. That way, they have more, and then they feel like it's more, but actually it's less. Anyway, but if they are older, we can explain to them why, and then substitute with other juices. So if you have the time, you could experiment with adding some vegetables to their juices. So instead of doing just fruits, you can add some vegetables to it as well. So you can do a blend of maybe orange, carrots, and celery, for example, or add some beetroot to your watermelon and add some, just make it interesting, and then ensure that they don't have too much of it, because you don't want them having too much of their calories for the day from just sugar that doesn't have any other nutrients. Then I also want to say that there is a reason why God made fruits whole. So for example, if you want to eat an orange, instead of drinking just the juice, you eat the whole orange, because the fiber in the orange, it regulates how how quickly the sugar is released in your bloodstream. So we don't want a situation where our blood sugar is going up and down in that spike kind of way. We want the sugar to be released gradually in the blood. So that's the reason why we have fruits that have when you find a fruit, it has fiber along with it. So when we juice fruits, we remove the fiber completely. So when we drink fruit juices, we are introducing sugar into the system in a raw form, ready to use form. So there's a sharp spike in the blood sugar. So I usually will not encourage if you are juicing, to just do fruits alone. So you want to reduce the fruits and increase the vegetables in the juice that you're taking. That way you can balance it just a little bit.
Right. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure our kids will get used to it over time, right? Another question that I have here says, how does nutrition impact mental health? And are there specific foods or nutrients that can support cognitive function and emotional well-being?
That's a big topic, and it's not something that we can exhaust in just a few minutes. But yes, food does impact mental health, and we have evidence that food impacts on our mood. It determines whether we are depressed or we are in high spirits, or and then women can relate a lot to this. Usually when you are probably having your period or about to, you begin to have cravings for especially foods that are high in sugar. And that's because these food items, they release feel good hormones in the body, so they make you feel good. But the bad thing about it is that it's sugar that's responsible mainly for that high. And then once the sugar high comes down, you get into a situation where your mood is low again, and then you want that high, so you want that constant, it keeps you in that cycle. But what to do is to go for foods that are high in antioxidants, foods that are high in um, we call them different names. Some have polyphenols, some so basically stay with fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables help you not just to manage how your body responds to sugar, but they also help you to feel good, to feel the I'm looking for the right word to use without using terminology that I'll have to explain. But the best way to go about it, for either for mood or for managing weight or for managing diseases, is to stay with living foods. When you stay with living foods, you won't have to question whether it's affecting me negatively or not, or whether is this food impacting on my mood or not? Is this food affecting? No, if you stay with living foods, you stay with foods that are healthy for you, you will not have to worry whether, okay, I want my mood to be this or I want my mood to be that. But for people who particularly have maybe Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all those kind of diseases, yes, there are certain foods that are being shown to be beneficial. But because we do not want people to take it out of context, we don't usually use the word we say may be beneficial. We don't say categorically that, okay, this food item does this if it has not been proven. So that's why I do not want to mention names, so that I'm not quoted to say, oh, this food item does this. But if there's anyone who wants further guidance in terms of how you can use food items to improve mood or improve mental health, I'll be willing to talk to that kind of person after this.
Right. Thank you so much, Opeyemi. Thank you so much. So indeed, food can impact, but we have control. Okay, so I have a question in the chat room. It says, talking about sea salt, someone once said the right color is not white, that the white sea salt is bleached. Please, can you say something about that?
Okay, so, well, in the world we live in today, most of the items that we have been processed one way or the other. The best we can do is to make use of what we have available to us in the best form. I don't think anyone, you are correct, but I don't think anyone would like to go to where do they call them? What do they call this now? Salt. What do they call where they produce salt? Where you find salt? You go to the sea to mine or to get salt in its raw form. If you can, if it's possible, by all means do it. But what we have available is sea salt. If you feel like that's not good enough, you can go the extra mile. If you can get salt in its raw form. However, what we have is the sea salt, and they can't process it too much. I guess what they try to do is they try to remove some impurities and remove if there's maybe sand or anything that's that comes along with the salt as they get it from the sea. But I have seen Dead Sea salt, and it doesn't look white like the ones we buy in the market. So you are probably correct there, but as long as what you are using is not harmful to your health and is able to meet your needs, I'll say that's fine, stick with it. Or if you want alternatives, you can use maybe Himalayan salt, which is pink in color, if that's preferable for you. Because I don't know the reason why this person asked this question, but I don't think that the process of bleaching the salt impacts on our health or makes it difficult or makes it bad for us anyway. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. But if you feel like you want something better, you can go for, if you know where to get it, that is, go for the one that has not been processed in any form or fashion.
Thank you so much, Opeyemi. So we don't have full control as well. Yeah. So if this salt can be bleached, but at least you can use it moderately, right? That's what I speak from that. I have one more question. How can one maintain a healthy diet on a budget? What are some cost-effective yet nutritious foods prioritize? I want to believe this question is from a place of nowadays we work. People are in a hurry to go to work. They don't have time to cook. You spend so much on eating out. And like I've said, it's safer to cook your food by yourself, use less of those chemical and processed dead food, like you called it. So how can one, how can you maintain eating healthy with low budget and also, keeping the nutritional values when you do so?
So the best way to do this is to know what you want to buy before you go to the store. So the first thing is have a plan. Have a plan of what you want to have. So you have a meal plan that you work with, and then you look at, okay, what do I need to make these items? So you go to the store with a shopping list that you've already made. And then as much as possible, try to make your own meals. Because let me give you an example. A bag of potatoes, you might be able to get a bag of potatoes for, say, 75p. And you might be able to get a bag of ready cut crisps. What is it called now? Either potato wedges or chips for £1.45 or sometimes £2. If you cut up your potatoes, right, you can make chips at home, which will be healthier for you, cost less. You just need to dedicate just a little extra time to make it. So that the same goes for items like already marinated either fish or chicken, as against buying just regular chicken breasts and adding your own spices to it and grilling it at home. So making these choices impact on not just our pockets, but on our health as well, because the ones that have already been prepared, whereas they are easier, you can just put the wedges in the oven and it's ready in a few minutes, but you spend an extra, maybe say 20 minutes to cut up the potatoes. And the good thing about cutting it up yourself is that you can leave the skin on, which also adds to the fiber and other health, vitamins that you have in the skin. You have that as well. But you might not have that when you buy already cut wedges or the chips that have already been cut. There are also some other oils and other items that have been added to that chips, to the potatoes. It's good old potatoes anyway. So you decide which one is best for you. You decide what your budget is. Excuse me. You are the one who knows how much you're willing to spend on that food item, number one. And then number two, how much you are willing to spend on possible negative implications that might come with buying that food item. So it depends on what is important to you as an individual. So I've said about meal planning. I've said about devoting extra, just a little more time to prep that meal. So when you have time, you can do the cutting. You can cut up just the amount you need. You're probably, from your meal plan, you know that, okay, you're probably going to need chips maybe just once during that week. So cut up just the amount that you need. For chicken as well, you might decide, okay, I've bought chicken breasts. I'm just going to add all the condiments I need and put it in the freezer so that when I need it, I just put it in the oven or put it in my air fryer to cook, and then it's ready in a few minutes. So it depends on how much we are willing to spend and how far we are willing to go.
Thank you so much, Opeyemi. Thank you so very much. So much insight, I must say. I believe the audience was also blessed. Indeed, God wants us to prosper in our body, in our soul, and in our spirits. Thank you for sharing the word. Thank
You're
you so much.
welcome.
To everyone that is not a Global Harvest member, thank you for joining the call. This is Global Harvest Church United Kingdom. We just listened to our nutrition expert, Opeyemi Adeboye, who has told us so much about how our nutrition can impact our future. Well, feel free to get the link from the person that invited you. We can watch again on YouTube, and we hope to see you again. This session is called our Revealed Truth. It's a Bible study session. We call it the Revealed Truth, where God teaches us insights indeed about how to prosper, all around prosperity. And we hope to see you again. And you can also join us on our weekly sessions. We have our Bible study every morning, 6 to 6:30 a.m. West African time, UK time as well currently. We also have from 6:30 to 7 o'clock where we have our 6-day prayer meeting from Mondays to Fridays, where we'll take charge of our day in prayers. And on Sundays, you can join us from 11 a.m. West African time as well. We hope to see you around. Next week, we have another powerful session. You're also invited to join us then as well. Thank you again for joining us, and we know you are indeed blessed. Yes, Joy Adeyemi is saying thank you so much, Sis Opeyemi. Thank you, everyone.